everyone and welcome! The next champion called Camille arrived, and with her an entire new event. So in the upcoming weeks we will have a look at the story of both Piltover and Zone. It is important to note that the relation in which Piltover and Zone are has drastically changed. They are no longer two separate rival cities anymore. Combined, they are one big city-state that functions as the heart of science and market for the entire Valorant. Above the ground we have Piltover, the city known for its elegance and education. But below a thick layer of smoke separating the two cities, we have Zone, the underbelly and underside of Piltover, where black markets and shady business finds its place. And with all of that, let's now talk about Camille and her family. Camille's family gained most of its wealth through harvesting rare crystals from creatures native to the sands of Shurima. These newly found crystals were called Hex Crystals or First Crystals. They contained power that could only be unlocked by creatures born with magical abilities. Camille's great-great-aunt, Alicia, lost her arm and nearly her life during one such expedition. Her sacrifice was celebrated, and it set an expectation that is reflected in the Ferros family motto today: "For family will I give." Of course, the creatures protecting these crystals that Alicia Ferros found were the Breckern. And with each new expedition, it became obvious that these crystals were limited. In time, Camille's family looked into other ways of earning these crystals. And soon after some shadow investing into Chemtech and Runic alchemy, the Ferros family succeeded. They brought to market the less powerful but easier to produce synthetic Hex Crystals. Such power often came with consequences, and the production of the synthetic crystals is rumored to be a heavy contributor to the Zone Grey, which is a term used to describe the polluted layer of smoke above Zone. Born into one of the wealthiest houses in Piltover's Blue Wind Court, Camille was the sixth child of Rodri and Gemma, who at the time were the masters of Clan Ferros. However, Camille and her younger brother Steven were the only children who survived to adulthood. The entire family focused on Camille as the eldest surviving child. They made sure her education was as good as it physically could be. And because Piltover was the heart of tourism, she was able to learn many exotic languages, such as the Zayun dialect of southern Ionia or the Noxian. While still being a child, Camille was encouraged to take an interest in Valorant history, and learned to read and write ancient Shuriman while assisting her father on dig sites in the Odin Valley. She also became a great musician and plays the cello vina at a concert master level. Among the leading families of Piltover, it was a tradition for one of the younger children to take up the mantle of the family's principal intelligencer, or in other words, becoming the sword and shield of their clan. Those chosen are tasked with operating in the best interest of a Piltover family, working with the clan master to secure a family's continued success by any means necessary. Clan Ferros was full of wealth and secrets, so they took this position very seriously. Camille's brother Steven was born with a weakening sickness, and he was considered ineligible. Her parents, especially her father, were extremely proud when Camille took Steven's place as the principal intelligencer for the clan. But that only ignited Steven's jealousy as he watched Camille embrace her additional training and tutoring. Soon she became an expert in combat, espionage, and interrogation. Her favorite techniques were fighting with the Sean Zan-footed glaives and gaining information through classic Inquisition. But she also found interest in the grappling line and hook native to the Western Serpent Isles. When Camille was 25, she and her father were attacked by a band of augmented thugs. The gang was determined to move up in Zone's underworld by laying hands on some of the family's valuable secrets. Both Camille and her father were wounded, Camille recovered, but her father didn't make it. And her mother died soon after, unable to bear the anguish that settled over the house. The title of clanmaster passed to Camille's brother, Stephen. Young, without experience, and eager to prove himself as a strong leader of the family, Stephen doubled the already extensive Ferros research in human hextech augmentation. 1 year later, Stephen personally recruited their new lead artificer, Hakim Naderi, a promising young crystallographer from Belzoon, a Shuriman coastal city. Camille requested a hextech augmentation from Hakim. This was the only way she could forget what happened to her father, and she would finally be able to protect the rest of her family. When Hakim met Camille for the first time, he was instantly drawn to her and he tried to bring her out of the darkness surrounding her past. As they worked on the augmentations, they started bonding together. After months of intimate work, Camille could no longer deny she returned Hakim's feelings. As the day of Camille's augmentation approached, they grew reckless in their affair, as they knew the surgery would mark the end of their time together. Hakim would move on to other projects for the family, and Camille would once again be fully committed to her duty as a principal intelligencer. More than that, Hakim worried that in carving away Camille's heart, he might cut too deeply and deprive her of her humanity as well. Days before Camille's operation, Hakim proposed marriage and begged her to run away with him instead. He wanted to run away with her, back to Belzoon where they could uncover ancient Shurima together, with their children, away from her family. For the first time in her life, Camille was torn. Stephen's position as a clanmaster depended heavily on Camille's ability to execute his vision. When he learned of the secret proposal, he saw his principal intelligencer dangerously close to slipping away, and with it his control over the Ferros family. To bring Camille back to his side, he used the fragility of his body and bruised and bloodied himself to pretend he was beaten by thugs. When Camille saw him in this state, it instantly brought back memories of her father, and it reminded her how important it is for her not to be distracted. And just like that, Hakim's plans were ruined. Camille insisted her surgery go forward and ended her relation with Hakim. He still loved her, but Hakim knew he was the only one who could perform the surgery safely. Unable to let the love of his life die on the operating table, he cut away Camille's heart as she asked. But once he was sure the new mechanical heart would beat without him, he left and simply disappeared. Camille awoke to find the lab empty. As Camille returned to her duties, the power of Clan Ferros grew rapidly. The combination of Stephen's mind and Camille's body became unmatched. But over time, Camille was called into darker and deadlier missions. On a recent assignment, Camille ran into a series of events that exposed the depth of Stephen's treason. The lies that drove Hakim away now threatened to destroy Camille and the clan. She saw his greedy acts for what they truly were: selfish and no longer in the best interest of the family. In that moment, she discarded the last sentiment she felt for her brother and took control of the clan Ferros. Camille now runs the family's public affairs through her favorite grandniece, which she herself chose as the master of the clan. This allows Camille to continue the more shadowy operations that ensure the family's success. One of her recent missions is told from the view of Mr. Turek. He just woke up and found himself lying on the ground, bloodied and bruised with his hands tied behind his back. He heard knives sliding on wet stone approaching, and he knew he was a dead man. In front of him, he saw a blurred image of Gordon Ansel, his hired bodyguard. It looked like he just woke up as well. "Oh good, you're both awake," Camille said. "I was just about to put the tea on." Turek turned his head toward her. He tried to move his swollen jaw, but the taste of blood filled his mouth. The air around him was filled with chemical smell. That made him sure that he was still in zone. One of you knows who is responsible for the explosion at the docks. She continued as she set a glass kettle above a near-invisible flame of chemical burner. Go pound the sum, lady, Ansel groaned. Baron Grimes' men always have such a way with words. You will tell me what I want to know, as if your life depends on it. I ain't saying nothing, Ansel snared. Do not insult my courtesy, Mr. Ansel. Others have. They are dead now. You think them legs of yours scare me? The water in the kettle started to boil. Turek blinked and there was a flash of silver and blue. The ropes that held Ansel's hands fell to the floor. He laughed. You missed, darling. Camille remained patient. You can lick my... She spun around. This time her blade sliced cleanly through Ansel's neck, and his severed head rolled to a stop in front of Turek. At that moment he was convinced that whatever was left inside him was going to end up on the floor. Now, Mr. Turek, we are going to have a cup of tea, and you will tell me what I wish to know. Tea? He nearly choked on the word. Oh, my boy, there is always time for tea. And that is where Camille's story ends for now. But don't worry, because her story is greatly expanded in the upcoming stories. So sit tight, because more lore is on its way. For now, thank you so much for watching this video. If you are already subscribed, consider clicking the bell icon to make sure you won't miss any of the stories. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter or Facebook for updates on the upcoming streams. And with that, thank you so much for being here and enjoying what I do. And as always, thank you come again. So this is just the first part of the Piltover event that just arrived, so next we will have the first short story, although it's not really that short, and after that there is the second short story that is also not so short, and after that I believe they will start to pump out all the different champions. I think they are starting with Ezreal, and then Caitlyn, and then I don't know who is next, so well, you know what, I'll see you in the next one.